Hey there, Shawna. Karrasch here with another Ask Shawna answer. Okay, this one comes from Loretta, and she says, Hi, Shawna. I just listened with interest to your podcast about helping spooky horses from the saddle. My problem is if I stop my boy to bend him, getting him going, moving again is tricky. Any tips for ways to distract and train while they keep moving? Thank you. Yes, and you know what? Maybe I didn't make this clear. But it's a great question because I think this is a really common problem or a common challenge. Sometimes it's our history, to be honest with you. You know, sometimes it's riding in the saddle when your horse starts getting spooky or worked up and you start feeling uncertain and out of control. A lot of times we have history and baggage that comes with it too. You know, so sometimes it's a horse, sometimes it's us. So I think this is a common problem. So this is great that you're bringing this up. Now, I mean, not this particular thing, but in general, the under saddle stuff. So what I do is I do the bending with moving. So what I will ask him to do is bend, but keep walking. So he's just bending, and I look for the softness in both ways. So this is from the podcast about, I don't even know what episode it is, but for those of you that might be tuning in that don't know, it's on the podcast on my website. There is one about helping the spooky horse under saddle. And what we like to do, I love to give them exercises that become their favorite exercises so that they love these exercises, but I work them in the best case scenario so that what happens with the positive reinforcement training? They have a real tendency to, it becomes kind of safe for them, and they choose to do it, and they like to do it. I mean, there's something in it for them, and so it really is a game changer. So by building up a really strong reinforcement history with a behavior like bending or collecting or whatever it might be, you really build up a great association. So when you ask them to do it, they have a tendency to go, oh, everything's good in my world. So that is what Loretta is talking about for those that are just joining in. But I do the bending and walking. So I just want them to be able to bend a little bit and then straighten back out and then bend the other way a little bit and be soft with it. So as I teach it the best case scenario, I use a clicker and the target and the food. I teach it the best case scenario, whether it's at home, whether it's in the paddock, wherever I think they're going to be really relaxed. And I build relaxation into it. So it's very soft. I want softness in every way. So I build that up and I get it really good and I reinforce it a lot. So but I keep it a walking thing. So for me, it has been a walking thing. Now, I do need to click and stop and eat. So the stopping that happens after they eat, sometimes it can be hard at first to get them going from that. So if that's the issue, then what I would start doing is one, I would wait until he's done chewing. So give him a moment to enjoy his food. So a lot of times I do like to sit and think, I just want you to eat for a moment. You know, it doesn't take long, but I want him to enjoy that and not feel like they have to get to work right away. It is kind of like, this is your time, eat your food. And then when you feel like he's bright enough and ready enough, ask him again to walk on. Now, this is, and I would also work this walking on in the arena. So work on it in the best case scenario. So we get the idea that actually moving forward and moving and responding to that cue, I may get reinforced again. So what I would do is I would ask him to go forward. If he goes forward, I would click and reinforce again. And I click and reinforce again. So repeating this process is really what helps. It seems counterintuitive because you're like, I got him going. I don't want to stop again. But if we don't stop and feed him for that or click him to tell him that that is something we value, it reinforces that behavior. So it's really important. If we want to see a behavior increase in frequency, we need to reinforce it. That's the definition of a reinforcer, and it's why they do everything. They're either getting something they want or avoiding something they don't want. That's all there is to it. That's what they're out there doing in the world all the time, in nature, whether we're there or we're aware of it or not. That's how it works. So when he does the thing, I know it seems really hard, but I would click and reinforce him when he goes forward and say, I'm going to reinforce you again until he gets the idea, and then put 2 strides on that, and then put 5 strides, and then 6 strides, and then sometimes 1 stride, and then 12 strides, and then 4 strides, and then, so build that up. But you can also work that in the arena. Now you may say he's not bad in the arena. That part isn't trouble. It doesn't matter. The stronger the reinforcement history with that behavior, the more likely they are to choose that behavior, because they know this behavior tends to work for me. I tend to get rewarded for that. We've reinforced it, and that means we've increased the likelihood of seeing it repeated in the future. So I want you to ask him to go forward, and I want you to click and reinforce again. And if in the arena at home, or the, whatever, wherever you work at home in the field, if he is, even if it's not a problem there, by building a stronger reinforcement history with it, you will also be doing a lot to build up his response to that cue. I mean, because basically what it is, you ask for it, and then as he goes, it's a cue. When he goes, you want a response. You say, yes, I like your response. So your cue can get softer and softer and softer and softer. And if he doesn't respond, I just wait for a moment. And then I try again, and I ask again, so that it gives them a chance to kind of reset and think through it a bit. Now, there's another option that could be happening out there. And I don't know if it's just, it doesn't really say if you're going out on the trail or you're just working in the arena. I kind of made an assumption you're going out on the trail, but that may not be right at all. So what you need to do, if you need to keep him feeling a little safer, kind of keep him maybe a little towards if things on the outside bother him, work off the rail just a little bit. So that's kind of working on the relaxation and the softness. In the best case scenario, set him up for success. So that's really important. If it is out on the trail, the not moving, and he responds well at home, the not moving forward may actually be in response to being worried about what's out there. Like, I don't want to go out there because I have to go face more stuff that might be scary. So if that's the case, I would really work on desensitizing the spooky horse. I know I have a podcast for that too. I don't remember what the name of it is, but it really is helping them to get desensitized to new things. It is getting them to see new things as good and favorable versus scary. Horses tend to be neophobic. They're afraid of new things typically. And so new things, new sights, new sounds, new smells, new situations can create suspicion in them. So by teaching them that new sights and sounds are good, pretty soon they're like, well, I like that. Why? Yeah, what is that? And they'll start to explore things. And I let exploration happen a little bit. I'd rather see them go up and sniff something and get to know that it's safe than them not, so then after a bit, I want to see them be able to walk by those things. So it's kind of a progression. All of it should always be a progression a bit. But so if it's a spookiness issue overall, just general despooking may help quite a bit. If it's just spooky under saddle, sometimes I want to make sure there's not something physical going on. And a lot of times that's not the case. It's an easy way to get out of work, frankly, under saddle sometimes if they get the rider defensive. So I'm kind of throwing out things for all sort of scenarios. So if the rider is kind of defensive, they tend to kind of stop working and they back off quite a bit. So there's a lot of components can be there, but basically what he's saying is he doesn't want to, he finds it more reinforcing to avoid these behaviors than to do these behaviors. So I think really utilizing the positive reinforcement. And one more thing I want to be sure that you've done properly is be sure that you have properly conditioned the bridge, the clicker. So if the clicker doesn't hold the value that we think it does, then you would be feeding the stop. So if we think the clicker is valuable and we click and then feed and the clicker's never been conditioned, he doesn't think about that. He thinks about the stop. So go back to lesson 1 in the podcast, and that if you're not sure that you did it thoroughly enough, because we really want to be sure that clicker is classically conditioned because it's such a communication tool. And if it's too muddled and in the middle of things, I'll still learn it eventually. But in the meantime, we don't know necessarily what we're feeding. So the clicker is really important that we have that part sorted out with the proper value behind it. So it doesn't take much just to go back and be sure we've classically conditioned it. So, and then when we click, they think, what was I doing when I heard the click? Because it becomes a conditioned reinforcer, and they're going to hang on to what behavior got me, this reinforcer. So that bridge signal, that clicker, is really important because as you click, the stopping's an incidental. You basically said stop, but they're remembering what earned them the click. So I hope that makes sense because that's a thing that's hard for a lot of people. Okay, so I tried to cover every scenario there, but maybe that you have a more specific question, or maybe I did miss it a bit, or maybe there's other things that we didn't get on this. So don't hesitate to get back to me if you have more questions. And I really hope that this helps you out and gives you a lot of food for thought. And for anybody else who's joining in, you know how to get a hold of me at www.on-target-training.com. And on there, you go to the Ask Shawna tab, and you can submit your questions there. And there's also a podcast tab, and there's also the YouTube videos, which are these Ask Shawna videos, and there's also a blog. So there's lots of resources that can help you to go along for all you people out there who don't know about it yet. Anyway, so I hope that helps you out, Loretta, and until next time. Oh, also, if you guys want to know what we're doing out here at Terra Nova, you can go to terranovatrainingcenter.com, and there you'll find schedule, what we're up to, what's new, and you can sign up for our newsletter there. Anyway, there you go. That's my whole spiel. I hope that made sense to you, Loretta. I feel like I jumped around kind of a bit with things, but hopefully you can pull those pieces together. And if anything was unclear, don't hesitate to say, what? So just let me know. Anyway, until next time, enjoy getting your horse on target. Bye.